Hi, this is Julia O'Farrell, also known as JGO, and this is T-Shirt Tales. T-Shirt Tales grew out of my interest in knowing the story behind a t-shirt that people are wearing, whether the t-shirt has any significance or not.
Hi, I'm Octavia Koner. So the origin of this shirt is that I was hanging out with friends in the Staten Island Mall, and we wandered into a Hot Topic, as sad loner teenagers are wont to do. I was 16 years old, and I had been wearing a lot of clothing that wasn't really fitting my body type or how I felt. I was flamboyantly gay, wearing extra large t-shirts and too large pants, and I was just swimming in my clothing because I didn't know what I wanted. And I saw this t-shirt and I loved Captain Planet. In concept, mostly I just had a crush on the redhead, who is incidentally named Wheeler, who's from Brooklyn. It just really spoke to me. So I picked it up, I put it in my bag, and I walked out of the store. I didn't buy it because I was very self-conscious about buying women's clothing at the time, and it just made a lot more sense to me to just have this article of clothing without committing to spending money on it. I haven't had a family most of my life, and the parts of my life where I did have a family, they weren't very supportive of my fashion or lifestyle choices or necessities. And it felt like the only way that I could get what I wanted. And as I got older, it was the only way that I could get a lot of the clothing that I wanted. Thrift stores were even out of my price range because I was constantly housing unstable and working very low wage jobs because no one would hire me because I was trans. And I would steal from my friends because I had a lot of homeless friends, and I had a lot of friends who were also housing and income unstable. And it just became second nature for me to say, this is beautiful and I want it and I deserve to have it because I have so much has been taken away from me. It's really hard to get any sort of job when you're trans, especially when you're not passing as what people see as a cis woman. There's a lot of connotations that being trans have in a lot of people's mind. They see them as messes, or they see them as undesirable, or they'll be standoffish to customers. I was fired from my job at American Apparel, for example, because I made customers uncomfortable because I was wearing women's clothing. That was never the reason they stated, of course, but I had gone on sabbatical because I had a manager who was hassling me for being feminine, and it was a lot, so I just took some time off, and they told me to not come back. So retail is like any other job, and like any other job, it is difficult to get hired as trans. It's a front-facing job, so in some ways it's a lot harder to be hired when you're trans in retail. Any sort of front-of-house, front-facing job, they're going to want to hire people who fit what the clientele will respond best to, and people do not respond well to transgender women very often. Even a trans woman who's like me, I create a sort of tension between myself and customers who might not even like my very existence, and that will defer people from buying things and hurt the company's revenue. It was much harder when I was first transitioning. I had gone many years between American Apparel so my retail job selling clothing, and my current job, which is selling sex toys. That is at Babeland, which is a much more queer-friendly, queer-facing job, and so getting hired there was much easier than anywhere else. I had interviewed at Macy's, and I interviewed at Bloomingdale's, and I interviewed even at very stores that are in Soho, but they're the $20 sneaker stores, and no one was really willing to hire me because of the way I looked and the way I talked.
Octavia, and I actually named this clip, "It's Hard Out Here for Trans." When I first met Octavia, who was one of my students, I did not know that she is a transgender woman. I initially asked her about her name because I said that her mother must have been a sci-fi, science fiction fan, a fan of Octavia Butler. And that was the only Octavia that I was aware of, other than Octavia Spencer, the actress. And so Octavia, she stated to me that, she gave herself that name. She changed her name to Octavia. And later I found out that she had several names before she decided on Octavia, but I then found out, because her t shirt, I thought that it was just going to be a cartoon character, Captain Planet, but it turned out to be much more than there was a real story behind this Captain Planet T-shirt. One, it was the first article of women's clothing that she obtained, and that's when I found out that she was or is a transgender woman. It brought to mind what some transgender women or men experience as far in the job market. So this is Octavia's experience, and I've come to learn that it can be an issue that transgender people deal with.
Hi, my name is 央伦肖，我叫做肖央伦。I bought the shirt last year. In Taiwan, Super Drive is very popular and it's expensive. I don't have that much money, and when I saw this Super Dry, Super Shy in night market, it's very cheap, so I bought it. It's like me, super shy. When I wear it, I just worry people will think you buy the wrong shirt. But if we know the meaning, and then they will know, oh, it's funny. And that's good because I don't really like to talk, and when I'm not talk, I look very serious. I don't know how to say it. When I wear it, and it's reasonable. I don't need to talk that much. I don't need to be a talkative people, especially with not my language. Yeah, because I'm super shy. Super dry, super shy.
I was not familiar with the t-shirt line Super Dry. So I saw the shirt Super Shy, and I asked Yang about it, and she replied that it reflects her. She's super shy. And of course, she was familiar with the Super Dry line, and she talks about that. But I thought that this interview conveyed her personality. One, that she is super shy, and she uses the t-shirt to let people know that, or to convey that she really doesn't want to talk that much. One, because of her personality, that she's super shy, and also at this point she's struggling with the English language. She's still learning the language, but I think she does pretty well as far as engaging in a conversation. And actually, I thought about it, and when I was asking questions, I wasn't keeping in mind that she might struggle with understanding or being able to communicate fluently. So I wasn't really keeping that in mind. But That being said, me personally, I don't speak a second language, so I applaud anyone that is learning the English language and they're able to engage in a conversation. So I would like to applaud her, and I really liked. I had fun with the interview.
I'm Sheldon Young, and my brand is called the Urban Cowboy. The bull skull is my main logo, and it's a representation of life. Life is tough, the bull is tough. The grab the bull by the horns motto, it's supposed to inspire men to, find that balance between work and leisure. That's the only way you can find some sort of freedom in what we do every day living this life. I'm into bikes. So I got a motorcycle. Some guys, they do the gym thing. Some guys, they into trucks. Whatever that leisure is, we need that balance. And this is the only way we find that sense of freedom. Overall, my line is to inspire men to live free and find that balance. And hopefully, when they wear that bull skull on their chest, it's like the S on Superman's chest. You feel that emotional connection because you're living that lifestyle. Thank you.
The story behind the Bob Marley t-shirt, he shares that he was drawn to the t-shirt by the word love. Is it love that I'm feeling? He also likes the 4 images that are shown on his shirt, and he makes a comment about the expressions. And another thing that I thought was interesting about what he shared was he also got into talking about the colors and the quality of the shirt. So it was almost as if he's selling the shirt, but he really, I think it was one of his favorite shirts because of the image as well as the person, the legend of Bob Marley.
What brought my eyes into this particular item? I was on a trip and vacation, and so walking in those souvenir store, it's just like love at the first sight. I look at this and they said love, and we all know what does love mean. God is love, and when you have God, you got love, and when you have love, you got everything. But talking about the teacher himself, what fascinates me is they have different facial expressions of this great man who brought the reggae music to a different level, political, international, and a dancing movement. But the way they adjust the color in the t-shirt, the yellow and the black background with the different facials, it gave me an idea how he was thinking and how he was feeling in any one of these facial expressions that we have here. And it really gets me because the first one is expression of love, the second one is expression of concern, and the third one is the expression of rage and encouragement. And I will get this item and pass it on to anyone that would like to know about the history of this shirt. And we can see at the back of the shirt also, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures, if I'm not mistaken, where he also give another expression, another sentiment, more spiritual, more find yourself. And because he was who he was and what he represent, I decided to get this item. I feel very proud of this item. And you see it's a short sleeve, very comfortable, very nice material. I wore it a few times, and the face is still smiling. And you can see here, the color is still alive. and this is an excellent chef. I recommend it. Get yourself one.
What I thought was interesting with the Bob Marley and the Urban Cowboy episode or interviews was that the person that was directing the interviews, they instructed the interviewee to look at the camera. And I'm in the habit of conducting interviews, mainly documentary style, where I tell the person not to look in the camera, to look at me, so the audience is viewing it as if they're seeing an interview that had taken place. I actually think that it worked well, especially in the case of the Urban Cowboy. He is relating to the audience and he's talking about his brand. So sometimes it's good to get a second eye or somebody else's vision, because I probably would have just conducted it documentary style, like most of the others are. And actually, that's something that I will probably think about in the future, whether the person should relate directly to the audience. Awesome sauce. Kye likes everything awesome, and to the point that when I asked her name, to say and spell her name, which a lot of times is done during interviews so that you could spell their name correctly when you're doing when you're identifying them. I didn't realize at the time that she spelled awesome sauce as opposed to Kye. And then when I asked her to say her name, she says her name is Awesome Sauce. So she spells Awesome Sauce, but she says her name is Kye. So I thought that added a bit of humor, so I decided to keep that in. I'm going to ask you to say and spell your first and last name.
Okay, AWESOMESAUCE. Awesome sauce.
That was your first and last name?
Yes.
Okay, say it.
Kye Asia Plug.
Okay.
Awesome. Basically, I was shopping and I like a lot of things that says awesome. My Instagram handle has something to do with awesome, like I'm awesome. I just go, my whole philosophy of life is awesome. And then when I seen the shirt in stores, I was just like, obviously I'm awesome. I have to get it. I love everything that's awesome. There's even a song for it. It's like AWESOME. Awesome is me.
Awesome sauce!
So yeah, that's about it. I'm just awesome, and let's not make a big deal about it. Even though the song is pretty awesome itself, I didn't make that song up. It came from a summer camp song, but I like to take it with me everywhere I go because it's awesome, and like I said, awesome is me. Wearing the shirt feel more awesome, and people ask about it like, oh, that's pretty cool, it's awesome. Just like, yeah, well, awesome is me.
Awesome sauce!
I actually just got this shirt, so this is my first time wearing the shirt today. So yes, it got a pretty big reaction. But when I do wear my other awesome memorabilia, like I said, I have a hat that says awesome sauce. So when I do wear that, people refer to the commercial, which is just like awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce!
I'm not gonna wear the shirt at a funeral, so but it's like pretty casual and things. Definitely for walking the dog, maybe a little kid's birthday party, I guess. But if you're trying to go to a birthday party, somebody your age or my age, so I'm just to impress, definitely not.
Is anything else that you might want to add about the shirt?
You can get this shirt found below, right over here in Gateway Center. No, just kidding. Actually, you can pretty much go online and make your own shirt as well, any website, anywhere.
Thank you for participating. participating in T-shirt tales.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You can say T-shirt tales is awesome.
T-shirt tales is awesome. Awesome.
Okay, thank you much.
That's all right.
I have not watched the Game of Thrones. I've heard about it. I know it has a large following, but it's a program that I'm not familiar with. So Ravon James, he introduced me to one of the characters by his shirt. And I use GIFs to demonstrate my initial reaction when he described the image, which was a figure of a man upside down and his skin torn off. And I shivered, and so I used a couple of GIFs to apply humor, and it was actually conveying my initial reaction.
So the shirt is actually a shirt from the show Game of Thrones. It's one of the, I don't want to say the lesser known houses, but one of the houses called House of Bolton. And their sigil is a person with their skin peeled off. There's different sigils in each house. Some have wolves, some have octopuses, but I like this shirt because one is the most unique in terms of its design. It's a person being upside down with their house words, "I'll blaze it sharp." It's definitely one of the shirts that you rarely see. Most people don't really like this particular house because it is, I guess, the villain of the series. So when I do wear it, people tend to always give me a heads up, like, House Bolton, why did you choose that shirt? So it's definitely a conversation starter. I'm a fan of the house. Excluding the villainy, they had a lot of good genius ideas during the course of the show. So I like to represent the shirt. I also have a hat that I'm not wearing today that also has the same sigil on it. You know, if you mess with us, we'll tear your skin off, I guess. I will say that it's very graphic. If you don't know what it is, it kind of just looks like a guy upside down. But for the people who do know the show and people who do know the house, it's an excellent kind of way of, wow, you really watch this show. It's kind of like a deep cut sort of recognition. For the people who really like Game of Thrones, they'll notice it and I'll get a look or we'll laugh or share, a smile, something like that. But it's one of the shirts where they're more popular shirts, but this is one of the more low-key ones. So only people who are like really fans of this show will really get and understand this particular symbol.
Not today. So some t-shirts people will wear to convey how they are feeling that day.
I went on Facebook and my timeline was really annoying me. You know, sometimes you wake up and you're in a very, very good mood, but something is just there to tick you off. Today, that particular day, it was my social media timeline. And I was in Walmart checking social media, checking Facebook, and I was getting aggravated by the minute based on what was going on my timeline. And I walked past this t-shirt which says, "Nope, not today." You know, and I just purchased it because I felt like at that particular point in time, it resonated with how I was feeling at the moment. That's exactly how I'm feeling today, because today's another one of those days where I just don't feel like being annoyed by anybody. So I pulled for the shirt.
So did I annoy you today?
No, you didn't. Actually, you made my day better.
If you're on Facebook, please join the T-shirt Tales group, and please share your T-shirt pictures, and you can let me know if you're interested in being considered for a future episode and sharing your T-shirt tale. I look forward to hearing from you.